Welcome to this special interview. I'm Paola Perez, and today we are going to talk about journalism but also about resistance. Let's recall that on June 16th, Israel launched a unilateral attack against the Islamic Republic of Iran, bombing the building that housed the state news media of Iran. Sahar Emami is a survivor of that attack. In spite of this, she was firm, giving the news of a unilateral war that was launched by Israel against the Middle East region. This has made her the winner of 2025 Simon Bolivar Journalist Prize with a special mention. Sahar Emami is here with us in our studios here in Caracas, Venezuela. Welcome.
Greetings to everyone, and I'm also very grateful for the invitation. And I want to also greet the Venezuelan people, a heroic people that seeks freedom and justice.
How did you receive the news of being the winner of this prize, of receiving this award for journalism with a special mention, Simon Bolivar, that was given by the Bolivarian government to you?
I received this pieces of news, such a good piece of news, through the ambassador of Iran to Venezuela, and I also requested that I could record a video in order to extend my thanks to the president of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro Moros.
Speaking about resistance and journalism, Sahar, what happened? What went through your mind that June 16th when you were listening to the explosion in the midst of being presenting the news for the people of Iran?
The journalism in Iran is really an element of resistance in this moment, in the at the beginning of the Zionist aggression to Iran and the attacks to the radio television institutions. We were trying to reflect the resistance of the Iranian people that were resistance the oppression and the aggression imposed by the Zionist regime.
How hard was for you as a woman to face, especially that siege, the news media siege launched by Zionism with a multidimensional mechanism to avoid the reality of the people of Iran comes to the light?
It was in part difficult and also easy from the perspective of a journalist that is facing a media war, a justice war against injustice, facing, well, journalism faces the media hegemony. From this point of view, it's easy. As for media outlets that are facing that hegemony as well from the Zionist regime. And on the other side, it's a regime that is using all its media outlets to capture the attention of the world.
One can see how the truth becomes the main victim of an attack from the Zionist regime. It does so with Venezuela, and also it has done so against Iran, and now wants to do it with against any country that do not follow the directions of Washington. Do you believe that in this context it is important, the alliances are important to battle against that hegemony?
It's very valuable, everything that the news outlets are doing in order to counter the media war from the West. What we're looking in the news is that many media outlets, free media outlets, are recognizing the independent state of Palestine that is the result of this communication media as the ones in Iran, all of them from Venezuela as well. They are trying to become the true voice of the free people of the world. And they're also countering the attempts from the Western news outlets to suffocate the true voice of those free people. They are observing how in the United States there are also movements against that media war from the West. And in other countries as well, we have some demonstrations against hegemony and media hegemony in particular from the West that is actually being undertaken. And we are looking at the results of all of these attempts countering that world hegemony through news outlets.
We have been seeing through the past 12 days of attacks against Iran, and you can see from 1948 with Nakba against the people of Palestine as well, a genocide that hasn't stopped. But Iran has been the main country of defense of the Palestinian cause. This distortion that Israel tries to do against facts and truth, and at the same time against justice, that follows against thousands of victims, of civilian victims that have been massacred, including 30,000 children, where Iran has dared to do what any other country of the world has done. It has put a halt to Israel. It has decided to respond, to defend itself from that attack. What is the Iranian people saying? What's the truth that the West tries to seek, to hide behind these facts?
Well, as the West is trying to distort the reality, to distort the atrocity that the Zionist regime is doing and committing in the Gaza Strip by that Zionist regime. And there is a great question in the world. And we see how the answer to that question in different demonstrations, popular demonstrations that are being carried out against that genocide on the Palestinian people. And the question is the West in the world, do they have the same positions in terms of human rights? We are independent journalists. We are trying to become the voice of that truth and everything that is happening in Gaza, in the Gaza Strip, and Palestine in general, in different areas, in different scenarios that are very sad and that we are witnessing in Palestine, such as that huge famine and people who are suffering like the children. And the result of this are all the demonstrations that are taking place in the heart of the United States, for example. The result and also the bombing of the Zionist regime against that station of radio and TV in order to suffocate that voice that is transmitting the truth. It's a communication outlet. It has no other instrument other than the camera and papers. And they were receiving those aggressions by the Zionist regime, and we have reiterated in several occasions that we have no other instruments, no other tools than our papers, our cameras, our pens and pencils. And it shows that the voice of the journalists in Iran and also in Venezuela, they are giving important steps in defense of the truth and of freedom.
Do you believe that Israel is afraid of that truth?
Yes, if they weren't afraid, if they weren't in panic, they wouldn't have attacked that main headquarters of radio and television at the beginning of that aggression against the country. But definitely that Zionist enemy, they are afraid of this war.
When you tell us that there are mobilizations throughout the world, Europe, the people is rising. In the United States, the people is rising as well in favor of the Palestinian cause and for this genocide to stop. What do you believe that has changed or what is changing?
We are looking at different aspects, different things that are happening in terms of the world and the media war, and that media war has played, media outlets have played an important role countering that media war, and they have been able to transmit those different events, and the peoples and the governments have been able to move forward and become the voice of truth, and also asking the support of the different governments, also condemning these atrocities. As the specific case that we are talking about, the attempt of the independent news outlets looking for truth, and that is very important. And it represents the importance of these news outlets in the field, in the battlefield.
What would you say to those hundreds and thousands of citizens throughout the world from Europe, the US, Latin America, Caribbean people that today are mobilizing for the Palestinian cause, that today they want to join this movement to stop this genocide? What to do to pay all of this massacre of so much death?
From my perspective, as in everything that is being carried out around the world in respect to the politics towards Gaza and Palestine, and the most important thing is what the government and the voices of the people are doing. As I said before, this can be even more efficient in order to consolidate the solidarity at a world level against the atrocities, against the crimes that are being committed by the Israeli regime in Gaza. What we are observing in Gaza, like the genocide that the Zionist regime is carrying out, until the establishment of different measures, also limiting the access of children and women to basic food and goods. This is a very sad scenario. But what we are seeing, the solidarity at a world level and in favor of the Palestinian people around the world, the attempt of the Israeli regime trying to eliminate the voice of Palestine has given no results. We are witnessing the movements, the demonstrations of all social movements around the world that continue to defend the rights of those children and those women in Palestine, and are condemning the atrocities and the crimes that are being committed by the Zionist regime. So we need to believe that the union of those voices around the world, will be able to counter those atrocities.
Do you believe that the United Nations has failed to the Palestinian people?
The United Nations organization and different instances at an international level, they haven't expressed their stances in a very firm way in order to condemn the aggressions of the Zionist regime. So you can say that it's the voices of those crimes are higher than the voices of those oppressed in Gaza. As you can see, these crimes, and we cannot be silent in the face of these crimes. And some postures, some stances are just limiting themselves to the stances. So we need to have an ever stronger voice than the United Nations. But I don't know if this voice could be silenced or we can recover it.
Now, Sahar, when we speak about unity, you say a strengthened voice to not be shut up, to denounce, to articulate, to unite, be united, to denounce these massacres, this genocide, this ethnic cleansing, these illegalities, which, like the unilateral sanctions, measures that try to send a blow to the Iranian people, Venezuelan people, from Nicaragua, Cuban people, but not everything is working as the West planned, as the U.S. planned with Israel. Why? What do you think that the U.S. hasn't understood about Israel?
Well, I was thinking, yes, they are continuing their attacks against our countries, and we have conquered some achievements. Iran has had great surprises, great achievements in different areas. With these, in spite of all these sanctions, with the people of Iran, just like the people of Venezuela, that have given great steps defending that freedom and defending that liberty. And in spite of what they are doing in respect to the Republic of Iran, we are moving forward in the achievements. We're celebrating even bigger achievements. And in terms of Venezuela, the nation continues to move forward in the progress and development at a national level. Any country that is being oppressed, these sanctions are making these countries, they're making them even stronger as they try to continue their development and their ideals, to reflect their own stance in terms of the truth.
The resistance axis, a particularity that it has, the Middle East, and Iran at the head of that resistance axis. It is a strategic alliance. What's the role played by the Iranian women in resistance?
Well, the women in the resistance, they're quite pioneer in that struggle. You see it also in Gaza, the children and the women whose husbands are being martyred, but they continue to resist in defense of their own principles and ideals that they carry in their minds. In Iran, they are you're looking at this resistance in the women. You look at the image of that TV anchor and at an international level from Iran. We have many examples of these women that continue to resist in defense of their homeland, in defense of their principles and freedom. And also, they're defending their own life to reflect this truth onto the world. Most of the achievements that we've managed by the resistant axis is the result of these sacrifices of women in different countries around the world, in different countries of Western Asia. The women are seeking that freedom, that truth. They continue to play such an important role to achieve those tasks. And that is why the West is trying to distort the image of the women, the educated women of Iran.
TeleSUR has turned 20 years, have marked 20 years of transmission, of being the voice of the peoples of the world, of putting cameras where no one ever dared to put the cameras at, and to tell the truth that becomes always the first victim of every aggression. I want you to share, please, your message to the youth, those young women and men that decided to be communicators at the service of the peoples. You being a survivor of that Zionist attack on June 16th, what's the message you would send them? What would you say to them?
I think that while you were mentioning this anniversary, 20th anniversary of TeleSUR, and all our colleagues that are continue to work so that those voices are heard around the world, human beings that are being so efficient in front and behind of the cameras, that they're trying and they're working to raise awareness around the world in terms of freedom and also political issues. All those achievements are the results of what the news outlets are trying to do in terms of countering that media hegemony. My special greetings to that commitment of every comrade of TeleSUR. And I thank you, the media from Venezuela as well, that you continue to support that legitimate defense of Iran against the aggression of the Zionist regime. And in a very brave manner, they have reflected the truth of that aggression on the sacred land of the Republic of Iran. So even more strength to all of them in this path, and my special thanks to them.
What's your biggest dream, Sahar, now for this?
My biggest dream is peace to all the peoples around the world, to put an end to all aggressions and all forms of oppression, not only for my own people, but also for all peoples around the world. And I truly desire that with God's blessing and across the world we will have world peace, that every people be able to really experiment the meaning of development and progress, and they be able to be free. And that is the true meaning of security and continue peace and tranquility. And from here, I also send my greetings to my people, my resistant people of Iran that has continued to firmly resist in the face of the aggressions of the Zionist regime and has marked yet a new defense, sacred defense in these circumstances. And they have showed the world what this really means.
Sahar Emami, a pleasure to have you in our studios at TeleSUR. Thank you for sharing with us your experience, for letting us know and letting us a reflection, and also to understand the truth has no price, but it is part of a resistance, of a value that is the work of journalists on the side of the truth, but with humanity.
I also repeat my thanks to you and everyone for inviting me here, having me in this show, so that I can give my opinion and speaking to the people of Venezuela. I truly wish that you continue on that brotherhood spirit between Iran and Venezuela. And I also wish the best for all the peoples around the world that are hoping and defending themselves in order to achieve freedom, peace. And we hope that we'll soon be witness of, of the end of all of these conflicts around the world. And will continue to be the true voice of these people seeking truth.
Thank you, Sahar. That was Sahar Emami, President of the Islamic Republic of Iran, survivor of the Zionist attack of June 16, 2025. Today, she told us her story, her reality, and her commitment in the framework of resistance in that role that is played by women inside of the region of the Middle East. This is how this special interview ends. Thank you for joining us.